Welcome to another talk. We're going to work through the harmony of All of Me, a great standard, and one of those kind of must-know tunes. And we'll work through it little by little, and just want to start out by emphasizing the importance of analyzing tunes and understanding the harmony when it comes to improvisation. You can certainly learn arrangements of tunes without having to know any of the relationships and all that, and then you're playing, a set worked out piece. But also improvising with melody in mind, as well as creating your own melodies, can be really rewarding. And so, if you want to displace rhythms and maybe embellish and add a melody note here or there, it's really important to understand what the harmony is doing throughout the tune. So, with that in mind, let's get started with our chord by chord analysis in the key of C. Okay, so that's an important aspect, is to know the key of the tune. Think about key signature. I've been talking about this quite a bit recently. So think about the key signature, and is it primarily in the relative minor or relative major? Okay, so we have a C major type chord. I would recommend thinking in terms of broad families of chords. So here we have C major. So that could include a chord like C major 7 or C6, C6, 9. Okay, so that's our one chord. And then we're going to move to this chord, E7. Now, it's important to think about what chords are in the key that you're working with, just diatonically, without any changes or anything like that. So we want to think of C major 7, C, D minor, E minor, F, G7, A minor, B minor 7 flat 5, and we can number each one of those. So you see we have the 3 chord here, but rather than minor, it's dominant 7th. Okay. So this gives us a clue that maybe there's some functionality to it. Okay. So we can call it a 3 chord and consider the kind of grouping or family as the dominant 7th. So it's going to be a 5 of 6. And then the 6 is also different from what it is purely in the key area. So we have a dominant 7th chord, and that's going to form the 5 of the 2 chord. This chord can also be delayed somewhat by playing your C sharp diminished 7th, and that's related to the A7. If you compare an A7 over C sharp to the C sharp diminished, we just have one note difference there, right? Okay, so the A7 with a flat 9, that gives us sort of the same kind of thing, but we can kind of delay that for a moment. We can even create chord melody on that as well. Okay, so we've kind of meandered around a little bit and worked our way over to the 2 chord. So let's move further in. We have E7. So again, 5 of 6. This time we are going to the minor 6. This one can also be delayed by playing the G sharp diminished 7. Same concept as the previous C sharp diminished. The E7, if you put that over a G, so let's listen to an E7 over G sharp. It sounds like this. Now if we listen to the G sharp diminished, it sounds like this, so we get a little more dissonance, and so that would relate to a flat 9. So this, you could even think about this in your practice session as from the perspective of E as an E7 flat 9 in first inversion. Okay, that's a drop 3 type voicing. Then we get into the A minor 7. Okay, and then we have the D13 now. Okay, this kind of puts the brakes on the progression and delays the 2-5. That's how I always think of it. Let me know what you think about it. Okay, so then we get the 2 minor and then the 5 going back to the 1 chord for the second half of the tune. All right, so carrying on here, we're in the second half of the tune. We start out really the same and we end up going into different directions. Okay, so here we're on the 6, or yeah, you can play a 6-9, but a major type chord. Then we have the 3 chord again. Okay, with 5 of the 6. The 6 is going to be dominant, so it's sort of a cascading thing. So we have a 5 of the 2 chord. Again, if we like, we can delay that 2 chord with the C sharp diminished 7. Okay, and then we have the 4, so 4 major, this is very common motion. So we have the 4 major and then the 4 minor. And then we're going to have a circle of fifths root movement. So let's go over that. So we have the 3 chord going to the 6 chord. So in that moment, you can think of that as a 2-5. And then we're going to the 2 and the key that we're in, and the 5. And then we're going back to the 1 chord. Okay, we'll dive more into this tune as the week progresses, but for now, that's a little bit of an idea of the basic overall chord progression and some analysis. So I would highly recommend that you work at creating a routine with tunes that you're learning to do some harmonic analysis on them. Doesn't have to be too terribly deep, but get an idea of some of the functions and where, especially where the 4 chord is, 5 chord, where the 6 chord coming in. Those are spots, 2 chord, that are going to be visited a lot in a lot of tunes. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a great practice session.